Howdy, gang. And I'm sorry that my voice all of a sudden got scratchy. So I hope that my voice doesn't completely go out on me. Chris is going to be joining me here shortly, but he did tell me he was going to be about 5 minutes late. Hey, Roberto, happy Valentine's Day to you as well. And we're going to celebrate this in style today, or tonight, rather. We are going to be watching the original My Bloody Valentine. In my opinion, even though the remake's not bad, this is the only My Bloody Valentine for me. Came out in 1981, directed by George Mahalka. It is Canadian, folks, and the Canadians were on fire, in my opinion, as far as horror movies in the 80s. Early to mid 80s, they were killing it. Uh, and again, I hope my voice doesn't completely go. I hadn't been talking a lot today, or I didn't think I had. So I don't know what it is. Maybe allergies. But I hope you guys and gals either. I have my moose head. As anybody that has seen My Bloody Valentine knows, they drink a lot of moose head because that's Canadian lager. Okay. Mine doesn't look as pretty as the bottles. Um, they're a lot more colorful, I think, on the movie, but this is the more modern version of Moosehead. I'm not a big beer drinker, to be honest. I do drink alcohol, but not beer so much. But I always try to drink at least one Moosehead on Valentine's Day. I have for the last 2 or 3 years. Um, in honor of not only the movie we're getting ready to watch together, but also in memory and in honor of three different actors who have passed away that were in My Bloody Valentine: Paul Kellman, Keith Knight, and Alf Humphrey. So, guys, I'm going to drink a moose head to you guys. There you go. I'm going to try to drink all this. So, you will see me sipping this moose head. I swear I haven't had any alcohol before opening this. So, anyway, I hope you guys and gals that were in here to see the Movie Munchies intro. This is the all new, hopefully improved Movie Munchies intro that I am going to be using for the next Movie Munchies. And I just thought I've got to come up with a behind the recipe segment for that. Hopefully, this Movie Munchies, they're pre-recorded now, will be able to be dropped on Sunday. There will be also another soup and jallows. I'll be making another soup. You won't actually see me make the soup because these are shorts and I only have 3 minutes. So I love this movie too, Tom. It is one of my absolute favorites. Not only can I watch it at Valentine's Day, I can watch it any time of the year. Sometimes I just pull this out any time of the year. And I see Chris is backstage. I'm going to be adding him here shortly. I told him it's okay if you're a few minutes late because I can BS with the best of them. I can just talk on here till everybody goes to sleep on me. So, so I'm going to be doing a Movie Munchies and a soup and jallows. So be on the lookout for those to drop. But I wanted to show something real quick. Hey, Candace, happy Valentine's Day to you too. Something that Steve got in actually, but he said I could show it off on here. Now, even though I was not a huge fan of Terrifier 2, I liked the first Terrifier, and I haven't seen Terrifier 3 yet. I still need to. Steve got one of those popcorn buckets for Terrifier 3, and I just, this is just so cool, though. I just had to show it off. Even if you're not a Art the Clown fan or a Terrifier fan, this is still pretty cool. Steve said we could put a little tea light inside of it and then it would light up. I said, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. But see, we haven't even taken him out of the wrapping yet. So I'm going to set him down there. So he's out of the way. Um, but let's see. I think that's about all the announcements I got for now. So I'm going to go ahead and add Chris, and we're going to get started here in just a couple of minutes. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Dana, how's it going?
Good. I got my moose head. I got my Canadian lager here to
Oh,
drink in honor. I'm not a big beer drinker, but I usually drink
uh-oh.
this once a year on Valentine's Day
I
in
think
honor of
you,
Canadians.
you glitched for just a
Did
second.
I glitch for just a second?
Yeah, like the camera froze stuff, so I didn't get to hear what you said. Yeah,
Oh,
I heard you
I,
talking about that moose lager. That's all I heard.
the the Moosehead, the Canadian lager. I drink this once a year. I'm not a big beer drinker.
Hmm.
Uh, I drink other forms of alcohol, but beer I don't drink too often. But in honor of the Canadians, who, in my opinion, like I said a little bit earlier, they were killing it as far as horror movies and
Yeah.
slasher
Oh
movies in
yeah.
particular in the early to mid 80s and that golden age of the slasher film. Oh, tell Henley and Raiden I said hey to
Hey guys.
advance.
So did you have a good Valentine's Day today?
I did. Did everybody see my beautiful roses? And if you're
I
my
seen
friend on Facebook, you might have seen them.
I seen all the stuff. Yeah, that Steve had got. Yeah, I think was that like a card or whatever with the little
Yeah,
dog.
yeah, and you could. It comes with all kinds of accessories, so I can put different clothes and stuff on him. And I was like, "This is really cool." Steve was like, "Oh, it ain't nothing, Dana." I said, "Steve, I love everything that you get me." So,
Yeah,
um,
Candace got me a little
oh, that's nice.
bucket with a bunch of different my favorite snacks like these. I love these Wily Wallaby. There's a
Uh-huh.
cinnamon it's like it's licorice, but I swear it's the best licorice
I
there
would love
is.
that.
And you can get these at Dollar Tree where we live, at least you can. And yeah, she got me just a bunch of different stuff like Swedish fish and all kinds of stuff in there. So I thought that was pretty nice of her.
Yeah, that was real nice of her. You better be good to her, Chris. She
Well, I
just
try
got
to
you.
be.
I know. I just I'm just yanking your chain. I have to give the men a hard time, especially on Valentine's Day. But
Uh,
Steve, I don't want to give Steve too hard a time because he's taking me to the Bravo Italian Kitchen for dinner or lunch tomorrow.
Yeah, me and Cancer, we're going out tomorrow too, since where we didn't get to do anything today, um, with where we both worked, and
Yeah.
also Noah has been sick, so but he's gonna, I think, stay with her mom tomorrow while me and her go out on a date. I don't know exactly I know we're definitely gonna go eat, but I was thinking we might go to the movies or something, maybe go watch Hard Eyes or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm not gonna pay to see that. You'll have to let me know how that one is.
Well, I just have to see if she's interested in it first. I know I want to see it. I definitely just want to go check it out. But I may wait. We may just watch it at home or something.
I think the next movie I'm gonna see at the theater is The Monkey.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
interested in
really
that
looking
as
forward to
well.
that.
Have you seen the popcorn bucket that they've released
Steve
for
was
that?
telling me about it, and it sounds cool. I have not actually seen it, but he described it for me.
Yeah, there's a picture of it floating around on Facebook where I seen it, and I thought it looked really neat. Cause I just love the whole premise of because it's a Stephen King story pretty much, and also who else is in? Is it James Wan? Is James Wan included? Is he involved in
He
the movie?
he was producing it, I think. I think he produced it, and then Oswald Perkins, Anthony Perkins' son, directed it.
But I heard Mark talking about it, stuntman Mark. I don't, you know him, right?
Mhm.
I heard him talking about it last night on YouTube, and he got to see an early screening of it, and he says it's really good. He says it's kind of more, it's got some humor in it too, so it's kind of more like tongue in cheek type humor. And he seems to think that a lot of people's really going to like this one.
So I'm looking forward to it. But in reference to those popcorn buckets, Chris, do you know if you can get them online, or you specifically got to get them at the movie theater?
Well, it depends on how successful they are at selling them.
Hmm.
Usually, they're offered at the theaters first before they put them online for anybody to buy online. But I know you can go to like Regal Cinemas and Cinemark or whatever, the different theaters websites. Because I think it was Regal Cinema that was like selling like the Alien Romulus
Yeah.
popcorn buckets, and I know they had a couple different ones for like when Deadpool and Wolverine was out, because I went to one of those Regal cinema theaters to see Deadpool and Wolverine in Lexington, and they had like all kinds of different popcorn buckets
I
for sale
wanted
there.
to get that one, and I asked them. We went to the AMC theater to
Hmm.
see that, and I said, "Do y'all have any of those Deadpool and Wolverine popcorn buckets?" He said, "Nah, we sold out."
Well, see, there was a few different ones depending on the theater. Like I know the one we went to, it was the baby Deadpool in like the car seat popcorn bucket,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then there was, I can't remember which, it might have been AMC or one of the other theaters had one where it was like the little skull Deadpool head that had like the little fan or whatever connected to its head that was just flying around in the movie.
Uh huh.
They had that one at one, and there was just, like I said, there was a few different ones just depending on the theater that they were exclusive to. But no, Candace, that's not the CGI movie
That's
with.
what I was laughing at. I looked at that comment.
No, no, this is a horror movie, and I want to see it. Yeah, for sure.
I definitely. I said, Steve, we got to go to the movies for this one, and I think we're. If I can get Steve to do it, which shouldn't be too hard, we'll do the Highway to Hell segment, and we'll
Hmm.
talk about the movie before and after.
Because the monkey, like the toy in it, like that, like it's a real toy that's been featured in a lot of stuff. And actually, that little monkey toy with the symbols and stuff, it's in Police Academy 4, I believe. It was in it's when Mahoney gets the new partner. No, it's not 4. It's the second one. I'm sorry. It's Police Academy 2
Well, I
when
think I know what you're talking about.
when
Yeah.
because I talked about it on my stream last night, like when he goes into that apartment, that Vinny's apartment, and he's like real
Uh,
slobby, but he's got all these cool posters like Frankenstein and Godzilla posters and stuff on it. But behind him, like on his like counter, it's laying there. It's one of those little monkey toys with the symbols.
yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, that monkey with the symbols is also like was the cover of Stephen King's Skeleton Crew book, right?
I think you're right, Chris. Yeah, that was one of the covers for it.
Yeah.
Definitely. And that is a. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I've read that story, but
Hmm.
that image of that monkey is just creepy. It's creepy.
Yeah, well, it is, and I don't know if you've seen any of the Toy Story movies, but I think it's in either Toy Story 3 or 4. It has one of those toys of the monkey.
Oh yeah.
I think it's the third. It's the third one. That's right. In Toy Story 3, because when they're at that daycare, like it's used as like a security guard or something to alert from the other toys escaping the
Yeah.
daycare. So
Candace says I was laughing again because she said, "Okay, I thought you guys had lost your minds because we were talking about the
no, no.
no real movie and not a CGI movie with Robbie Williams. No, but anyway, the numbers are going up and down. I don't know if that's StreamYard or just people are just popping in here and they're like, "What in the heck are they talking about?" It's probably because I'm talking about nonsense. But so we are watching the uncut or Chris, are you watching the uncut
I
version?
don't know. I've
Uh,
got it. I don't know if it's the uncut one or not, but
Well, you'll probably know pretty quickly when the
What's the length on yours? What's the
um,
running time?
it is 1 hour and 33 minutes.
That's what I got. Yeah, so
Okay.
it's probably the same one then.
So I'll just preface this before we get started by saying that for a long time, when this movie was first released, they made them cut a bunch of stuff out of this. And the first time I was ever actually able to see some of the uncut stuff in still photos was in Fangoria magazine.
Mm.
And I don't know what issue it was, but it was an old issue. And I was like, because I was a I was a big time gore hound back in the day, and I'm still, a gore hound to some extent. But I was just like, oh my gosh, look what they cut out of this. And I never thought there would come a day back then where we would be able to actually see this stuff put
Mhm.
back into the movie. And so when that first release came out that had all that put back in, I was like, man, I got to get that. I got to get my hands on that. And I think everybody that was a horror fan was pretty jazzed about that when it came out. Um, so it is available on Shutter if you don't have your own copy of it.
Yeah,
Steve,
that's where I'm watching it as on Shutter.
okay. I have this is the 4K, but I'm not watching the 4K because I can't watch 4Ks back here. But I am watching the Blu-ray that came with this, and I have it queued up to where it says Paramount, a Gulf Western company, and it's got the mountain in the background, little stars around there. So I'll give everybody, a minute or two that's going to be watching along with me and Chris tonight um, to get y'all where you need to be. And then if anybody comes in here later, we can give them a timestamp. If anybody, wants to join me and Chris, as long as you can behave, that's the only prerequisite I have. You just have to behave. Um, Now, that doesn't mean that we might not say, some certain words or laugh at something or act crazy over something, but you know what I mean by behave.
Yeah, you can't be inappropriate. You got to mind your manners. Got to
Yeah.
be good. Santa Claus is watching you.
And me and Chris are watching you. And, I got moderators in here that will take you out, not literally take you out, but take you out of the stream.
Yeah, and I'm glad I'm getting to do this with you, Dana. Really,
Well, I'm
because
glad you're on here with me because,
um, yeah, because I had this planned to watch this week anyway. Because for my channel, for part of my 500 movies in 2025, I'm doing on my channel. So I said, well, Dana's watched it. I said, I'll see if she'll let me do the watch along with her. That way, I can go ahead and I can count it, and then I can talk about because I'm going to be doing my stream on Sunday night where I'm
yeah.
going to talk because I'm watching this and I'm watching a couple others, Hospital Massacre and
Yeah, I've got to watch that tonight too before.
Valentine, and then I'm also watching the remake, My Bloody Valentine 3D. So
Mhm.
yeah, so if anybody wants to check that out, I'm doing that on Sunday over on my Crater Mania channel.
And y'all, if you have not checked out Chris's Crater Mania channel, you need to because I love watching Chris. He's very entertaining. He's very knowledgeable of the movies that he's talking about. He's not just some schmo up there just rambling on about nothing. I was
Well,
watching him.
I am a schmo.
No, I was watching him last night, and I was like, Chris is really killing this because he knew what he was talking about. He had everything down pat. Um, he does a lot better than I do sometimes. Sometimes I get on here and I just ramble on and stumble over my words and do everything else. And Chris did really, really good. And I told him um, last night, I think I did, I sent him a voice message. And I think I've told Candace this too. I said, I think Chris is really coming into his own now. He's getting comfortable with the format and all of that. And so you guys need to go check him out. Seriously.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, and I know a lot of people say, well, I mean, these are movies that everybody's seen for and everybody's talked about, 10 times over.
Mhm.
Well, that may be true, but these are just I wanted to start this channel off in a way by talking about stuff that I have loved for years.
Yeah.
I mean, other people may have talked about it, but I haven't. And that's why majority of these movies that I'm doing this year are ones that I've already seen, but that helps me because I already know a lot about them, so it's easy for me to talk about. But yeah, I'm really glad that you're enjoying everything so far over there, Dana. I mean, and I just thank you for helping me promote it and all that. So yeah,
Oh
means a
yeah.
lot.
Candace and Chris promote me all the time. And it's not hard to promote Chris because he's doing such an excellent job. I'm not trying to blow smoke up anybody's butt. It's the truth. So if you're looking for some new form of entertainment and want to get some movie knowledge about all these different kinds of movies, because Chris is trying to watch what is it, 500
Five
movies?
hundred in 1 year, yeah. And so far, I've watched. This will be no My Bloody Valentine. When we watch this tonight, this will be number 77
See, that's
so
good.
far this year. So
We're only into February and you've already
yeah,
watched that many. So anyway, it is 9:24, folks. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started here. This isn't a very long movie, but I know everybody doesn't want to be here all night waiting for us to get started with the movie. So I'm going to go ahead and do the countdown and then we're going to get started. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Press play. And we're off and running. This is not only one of my favorite uh, holiday related horror films, it's one of my favorite horror films of all time.
mm.
Um, and the first time I watched it, I knew this was the movie for me.
As far as like horror movies in general, like covering all different genres and subgenres of horror, um, I don't know if I could call it as one of my favorite horror movies of all time, but it's definitely when you're talking about the slasher subgenre. This
Mhm.
is one of my top favorites, and it's definitely like one of my favorite Canadian horror movies too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But I'm a sucker for any of these like early to mid 80s Canadian horror
Oh
movies.
yeah, me
I
too.
mean, you had Prom Night, you had Terror Train,
Wow.
you had this one, and Jamie
Um,
Lee Curtis was in Prom Night and Terror Train, and she's not even Canadian, but she was good in both of them.
That's actually, I didn't realize that. I did not realize that Prom Night was Canadian.
Yep. Yep.
Was The Prowler also Canadian or no?
No, I don't think the Prowler was Canadian. I think Prowler was filmed in Cape May, New Jersey. Um, I think by Joseph Zito. I think he's the one that directed it.
My Yeah,
And then Tom Savini did the
the
special
effects.
effects.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
seen like the one lady from The Prowler is actually going to be a guest at that next Cinema Wasteland show. I forget her name though.
Oh, that would be awesome. But I don't know if I could get Steve to go up to Cinema Wasteland. That's a long drive.
Yeah, it is.
So this movie starts out with a bang. I mean, she don't get naked here. Um,
Yeah, it starts out with a bang, all right.
but as far as the gore quotient, especially if you're watching the uncut version, and you're going to see that here in a minute or so.
Hmm.
Um, but some people might find this sexy, her, fondling the hose on his respirator.
She's
Uh,
she must have a coal miner fetish or something.
yeah. So if you are watching the uncut version, that's quite a bit more gory than if you were watching the original My Bloody Valentine that came out. Um,
I need to turn mine down a little bit.
I couldn't even hear it.
Oh, can you not? Okay.
No, but I mean, maybe because you have your headset on. That's
Maybe that's what it is. I don't. I've never used this headset while watching something, so
Uncle
I
Bill's
didn't.
in here. He said, "Wait, who's fondling the hose?" Well, Uncle Bill, I didn't know you were going to come in here right when I said that. Well, that chick at the beginning, she was fondling his respirator hose. Now, Paul Kalman there on the, well, that's Neil Affleck, but um, the dark-headed guy on the left
Mhm.
in the that scene there, um, I had the hugest crush on him, and Paul Kalman Sally is one of them that's no longer with us. And it's such a shame that I never talked to Paul Kalman because I heard that he was really wanted to talk to his fans and stuff like that, and
Oh
fans of
yeah.
this movie. Yeah,
I know at one point Sean Clark, that does all these conventions, he was the agent for like everybody from My Bloody Valentine because I remember there was a few conventions where they did like My Bloody Valentine reunions, and so he was able to bring in about everybody that was around at the time. Um, but so you had a crush on that guy, Dana?
oh, Paul Kalman, I was in love with that dude, like, especially on here. I've seen him, like, he played a really sleazy stepdad on Black Roses, if you've seen Black Roses. I
Oh
didn't like
yeah. Oh,
the
that's right.
character.
I forgot that he was in there. I
Yeah.
haven't seen Black Roses in a long time though. Um, but so let me ask you this: did you also have a crush on Bill Bixby? Because I always seen him as like the Dollar Tree version of Bill Bixby.
Um, I can't say that I did, but I had a crush on
Okay.
I had a crush on Keith Knight too, who's the kind of heavy set guy there. Just he's just has such a charming personality. Keith Knight does, and they said in real life that he was like that. He was very funny. He was very charming
Mm,
and nice to everybody. And and he's not an ugly guy. And he's no longer with us as well. And Alf Humphreys, sadly, is no longer with us. So,
mhm.
like, basically, three of my favorite characters from this movie are gone now.
Um, I've only met one person from this movie, and that's Peter Cowper, who plays the miner. Um, and that was several years ago. But I know I think it was the last Horror Hound weekend I went to. He was a guest at that one too, because they did like a slasher fest type thing where they had him and the Billy from Silent Night, Deadly Night, and a few other people.
And there's Alf Humphreys, the guy that had that loud horn.
Hmm.
Um, they always talked about how sweet he was in real life too.
I was thinking about him today because I knew I was going to watch this movie with you, and I was like, it'd be neat um, if they had like My Bloody Valentine people at a convention and somebody would like cosplay as that guy because
Uh,
he has a very unique like outfit, especially in this scene here, and like I like his little his Valentine heart glasses he's got on, and
yeah,
um, I thought that would be a really cool like cosplay for somebody because that's those are my favorite cosplays at conventions
yeah.
is when people does like obscure characters from horror movies and they don't go with like the super popular ones. Those are always my favorites.
Well, it allows you to be more creative, I think. And speaking of Moosehead, there's a box that Mabel has that she's carrying all her Valentine's Day decorations.
And is that what you're drinking right now?
Yeah, that's what I'm drinking tonight, folks. Moosehead.
Wow. And is that the reason why you only drink it one time a year? Is because of this movie?
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. It's become a tradition for me. I'd say the last 2 or 3 years, and we're seeing that Howard Alf Humphrey's character is the jokester, the prankster.
Yeah.
Uh,
Let me ask you a question about that too, Dana.
mhm.
Do you think that Friday the 13th Part 3 with Shelley borrowed the idea of that from this character?
That's possible because Paramount put this out. Paramount put the
Mm,
Friday the
there you
13th
go.
out, the early ones. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so I want to talk about Don Franks here, who plays Chief Newby, the sheriff. Um, Don Franks, actually, when he got off the plane, when they met him, as soon as he got off the plane and he was going to come be in this movie, Don Franks had very long hair when he got
Mm,
off that plane. And at first they were like, uh, how is he going to be this straight laced, chief of police type person? And the first thing he told them, he said, "Don't worry, fellas." He said, "I have a very good wig." So keep in mind, there's
mm.
a whole bunch of hair under that wig because Don Franks was pretty much a
Dang.
hippie.
You would never known that if I would have never known that if you hadn't said that.
Yeah.
That's yeah, well, that's a pretty good looking wig
Yeah.
to hold all that hair, I guess.
And speaking of cosplaying and stuff, I was actually Harry Warden or the Miner
Oh yeah, I remember this.
for Halloween a few years ago. And I loved creating that costume. I was out there with spray painting my miner's mask and doing all that stuff, putting fake blood on it. And
I
uh,
remember seeing this little kid at I think it was Horror Hound and one of the conventions I was at that dressed up like Harry Warden, the miner, and man, that kid's costume looked good. I mean, it was spot on, the detail on it and everything. It looked great. Uh,
hey, Blissful, happy Valentine's Day to you as well. So that's a good looking, gory heart, folks. I remember when me and Steve did a commentary for this. I need to start putting these commentaries on my channel because there may be some people that didn't get to ever hear them. But Steve is so funny. That's why I wish he would do more commentaries with me now. But when he uncovers that and that gory heart is there, Steve's like, ah, like that. And you can hear him on the commentary.
and like horror is so popular nowadays and mainstream for a lot of people. You see people, new fans of horror all the time now coming in and getting interested in the genre. You know, and especially there is like merchandise out there for movies that you thought there would never be merchandise for,
Oh,
including this movie.
yeah.
So I'm shocked that they still haven't made like a Valentine's Day candy heart for My Bloody Valentine that
That
looks
would
like the
be
actual
awesome.
heart. I mean, there's definitely ways to do it. And I'm sure all they gotta do is just make the molds and stuff. It would probably be pretty easy for them.
So the bartender, Happy,
Hmm.
that guy was in another Canadian horror movie called Funeral Home. Alf Humphreys was also in Funeral Home. Um,
I haven't
but
seen that one.
but the guy that plays Happy in Funeral Home, he played the cheating, abusive husband of Kay Hawtrey's character in Funeral Home. So if you haven't seen Funeral Home, I encourage you to. It's got some pretty creepy moments in it, and also Leslie Donaldson's in it, and I absolutely love and adore Leslie
I
Donaldson.
know that I've seen like it on some of the streaming services several times. Funeral, I think it was on Tubi at one point. I don't know if it's still on there or not, but yeah, I've never seen it, but I need to eventually watch it because I've heard a lot of people talk about it, including you.
Hmm. I think you would like it, Chris. So Happy is telling the story of Harry Warden, and how there was a cave in at the mine because the supervisors left before everybody was safely out because they wanted to get to a Valentine's dance. And Harry Warden was the only one left alive and was cannibalizing the other miners,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
He almost looked like one of the zombies from Dawn of the Dead where he
Yeah,
was
he
like
did.
this. Yeah.
See, now that is uncut, because when you watch the original version or the theatrical version, there wasn't all that blood all over that guy.
Right. You know what's weird? I mentioned that that guy looked like, from a zombie from Dawn of the Dead when he was chewing on the arm and stuff. But if you think about it, when we're first introduced to Peter in Dawn of the Dead and he
Mhm.
has like the gas mask on and stuff, he kind of looks like the miner.
He does, come to think of it. I hadn't thought about that. And the girl in the plaid shirt there, she would go on to be on Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman.
Oh, my
Uh,
mom used to watch that show
my
all
mom did
the time
too.
in the
She loved
90s.
it.
Yeah, she loved it. Well, what's Jane Seymour or something
Jane
like that?
Seymour, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that girl's name is Helene or Helen Udy. It's Udy. I may be pronouncing that incorrectly.
Hmm.
One of the other funny things that Steve always said when we would watch this is, why is Cynthia Dale's character, the sexy redhead girl, why is she with Keith Knight? Why is she with Hollis? And I said, because Hollis has a great personality, Steve. There's more to, you know, what makes a guy attractive than some buff guy who's looks like he stepped out of some kind of GQ ad or something. Like, to me, there's more to guys than just looks, because a great personality will go a long way to making a guy sexy. I'm here to tell you that right now. I ain't even gonna lie about it. There's my man Paul Kalman too. I always thought of him as like a Canadian Bruce Campbell,
Really?
especially in this movie. Now, when he got
I
older,
mean,
no, but
he does kind of give like his you know body language does kind of give Ash vibes. I
mm,
can agree with that. Um, but I don't know. I don't think he's got that kind of charisma that Bruce Campbell's got.
well, nobody has that Bruce Campbell charisma, but Bruce Campbell. But yeah, I can't help. Ever since I have known that Don Franks had that super long hair, I'm kind of trying to look for flaws in there.
Well, that yeah, I'm gonna, and that's me. I'm gonna be doing the same thing now that I know that. So that's so wild.
Now, looking at that gory heart again, it looks even bloodier now, of course. But I'm going to be making for Movie Munchies. I'll let y'all that are in here let y'all in on what I'm actually going to be doing. I'm going to be making gory bleeding heart cakes, and they look
Mm.
pretty realistic. So I'm excited about doing this recipe, and they're chocolate too. So can't go wrong with
Me
chocolate.
too, Tom. Tom says that super sexy isn't always sexy. I love actors like Sissy Spacek. Me too.
Yes,
I
yeah.
really love Sissy Spacek. I thought she was beautiful in Coal Miner's Daughter
Oh,
as Loretta
yeah.
Lynn. Yeah, I, I love Spacek, and yeah, she's awesome.
Wish we could have Steve on here with us, because I'm thinking of another funny thing he said during this. When we see Mabel in her little laundromat, uh,
Mhm.
he says, "Yeah, she's." I can't do it like him, but he says she's drinking cocoa and and washing her poo-poo undies. And I said, "Why has she got poo-poo undies?" And he said,
Yeah.
"'Cause she's an old lady."
So yeah, because old lady just shit herself all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, evidently.
Oh, Moosehead beer.
Yep. You
Man,
know,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, this stuff is kind of hard to find because the first year I wanted to get it, I couldn't get it because I think I went into a liquor barn here in Louisville, and you would think a liquor
Mm.
barn would have that. And I was like, I asked the guy, I said, "Do y'all have any Moosehead?" He said, "That's a Canadian beer, isn't it?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think we have that imported stuff." But so I didn't get it that year, but there is a Total Wine place. That's where I get my Moosehead now.
I don't drink or anything anymore like I used to. I haven't actually had any alcohol in probably about 2 years now or something. But they're right down the road from our house. There's this liquor store that they opened not that long ago. It's ran by this Indian family,
Mhm.
and I ought to just go in there and say, "Hey, y'all got any Moosehead beer in here?" And they'd be like, if he's like, "Yeah, it's right over here." I'm like, "All right, thanks," and just walk back out.
I ain't gonna drink it. I just want to know if
I
you have.
just wanted to know, buddy. Have good.
I'd be curious to know if in Hazard if there's a place that
I don't
has
know. I like I
Moosehead.
said, like I don't even look at that stuff anymore, even go near it, just cause I don't know. I stopped liking the taste of it. I just
Mm.
didn't. It ain't for me. Oh, Madam
Well,
Mabel.
this guy's brutal though. He's killing old ladies.
Yeah,
He don't care who he kills.
he's gonna take their Social Security.
Okay, I gotta ask you, Chris, since I have you on here, have you ever heard of anybody cooking TV dinners on a car engine?
No, that's
I just
pretty.
wonder if that was a is
Must be a
was that
Canadian
a thing?
thing,
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Was that something Canadian guys did?
maybe. I know that Canadians have a lot of the same type of culture as people from the United States do, but they also have some very quirky things about them that and I've learned that through like wrestling and stuff because there's a lot of Canadian wrestlers that I love, and I'll watch like interviews with them and stuff, and they'll talk about like they're growing up in Canada and stuff and all this. So they have very similar lifestyles to people in the United States, but they also do things that it's kind of unique as well.
Well, I always tell Steve, and he agrees that there's certain ways that you can tell that something's a Canadian made movie, no matter how much they try to make you think it's the United States.
Mhm.
They say
Well,
sorry. If you hear
well,
sorry,
it just
now sorry.
depends.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I think it just depends on like if all of the majority of the cast is from Canada, because like you said,
Right.
like Prom Night is a Canadian film, but Jamie Lee Curtis is not Canadian,
No.
so it just kind of depends on, I guess, on the actor
Yeah. So if the Canadian actors are saying sorry, and you can usually pick them out
or a
because
boot.
a boot, um,
A
and Neil Affleck says when he says "were," he says it like "where." We didn't know
where?
where. They say bluffs. People don't usually say bluffs. We're going to go to the bluffs, or we're going to ride out to the bluffs. In the United States, I haven't heard anybody in the United States say, "Hey, we're going to go right out to the bluffs." Um,
Yeah.
So, Black Christmas is enough. I mean, Bob
Oh
Clark
yeah.
was originally from the United States and he ended up eventually moving to Canada. So he wasn't Canadian, but he made movies in Canada.
That's
Um, and Black Christmas, I think, was another one that tried to make you think this is the United States. This was a United States sorority and college and all of that. Um, but I applaud them for you know, trying to make us all think. And there were probably some people that didn't catch on. And I'm not saying they're stupid or anything. I'm just saying when you've watched as many of these Canadian horror movies versus United States horror movies, you start to pick up differences.
I like to have that hat that guy's got. You see, it's got that patch on it. It's just
Kiss my.
that's killer. I like to have that.
Yeah, we need a Hollis's hat there.
Um, but I'll never forget. Like speaking of Black Christmas, like years ago, I'll never forget when I watched it for the first time and seeing that it was directed by Bob Clark, and I was like, wait a minute, I know that name. I said, Isn't there a guy named Bob Clark that directed A Christmas Story?
Mhm.
And I was like, and then when I found out it was exactly the same guy, I was like, that blew my mind.
It blew my mind too when I realized that. It's like, okay, he did A Christmas Story, he did Black Christmas.
Yeah, it's two totally different styles of a Christmas movie, but both very much entertaining.
Now I've seen most of the time. Speaking of Keith Knight again, most of the time when I've seen Keith Knight in movies, he's played a good guy. He's played a nice, gentlemanly guy for the most part. But I think it's Class of 1984. Have you seen Class of 1984,
Oh
Chris?
yeah, I love that movie.
Do you remember his character in that?
I can't
Because
remember.
he's clean shaven in that. He doesn't have a beard, doesn't have a mustache.
It's been a while, so I can't really recall. Who does he play in it? I can't remember.
Gosh, I'm trying to remember what his name was, but I know that he hung out with the bad crowd, the bad kids on
Hmm.
Class of
I can't remember.
1984.
I was just talking to my mother-in-law about that movie not long ago, actually, because we were talking about Death Wish, and I said, well, there's a movie that's kind of like Death Wish that I really like called Class 1984, and it was
Mhm.
actually one of Michael J. Fox's earliest films. Even though he doesn't have a big role in it, but he's like one of the students at the school.
Mhm. I'm trying to remember that Cynthia Dale, who's the hot redhead there. Um, I was trying to remember what that movie was. That it was an aerobics movie, and it had Cynthia Dale on it. And Steve
Mm.
said it's not Hard Bodies. What did he call that one? Gosh, I
Oh
can't even
wow.
remember. But if you want to see Cynthia Dale doing aerobics and being sexy, you can seek out. You could probably look at her filmography and see. Okay,
Cynthia Dale. I'll look it up right now, actually.
so we're going to get to see one of those coveted uncut scenes here in just a little bit. This one is gruesome. So you see Chief Newbie sniffing of his pipe and stuff because he can't figure out what that burning smell is in Mabel's laundromats. And Mabel's nowhere around. And we saw just a couple of scenes before, Mabel was taken out by the miner. So where is Mabel? Where's her body at? And I think those upside down hearts are going to hold a clue to where Mabel is. Does anybody notice anything strange about that one dryer? Seems to have some red splashed all over it.
Was that movie Heavenly Bodies, Dana?
Yeah, that was it. That was
Yeah,
it.
I've never even heard of that movie before.
Me and
But
Steve watched it a long time ago.
interesting.
Ah, there we go. And
There you
not
go.
only do you see that, but you see her going around. That is just brutal. That definitely was not in the theatrical cut. You didn't see all of that.
Speaking of TJ, what happened to TJ? To come in here. I haven't seen him anywhere in
I
a
don't
while.
know. TJ's MIA.
Yeah, I haven't seen
I,
him on anybody. Like he because he
no,
goes into other people's streams too, like Dead Pit and stuff, and I haven't seen him show up anywhere in a
I haven't
while.
talked to him, and
So TJ, if you're out there, connect with us, buddy. Let us know you're all right.
he might be making movies. If y'all
Yeah,
don't
well,
know, TJ is a fledgling filmmaker, and
I
he does
forgot
a
about
good
that.
job with short films and stuff.
He's out there remaking the Police Academy movies right now. I hope. I was going to talk about that last night on my stream. Like, well, I did a little bit. I said, yeah, I think that they could, do like a reboot of Police Academy. I think that would be fun.
Hmm.
I think it could work if they did it a certain way. But I don't know.
Tom, you said Of Unknown Origin was supposed to be New York. It was filmed in Toronto, and it was set in New York, but it was Toronto. Yeah, I think Toronto has acted as New York several times. Vancouver as well. Um,
It's a Peter Weller movie. He says.
hmm,
Have you seen Peter Weller? What he looks like right now? I mean, I know the
I
dude's
don't.
old. He's old as hell, but dang, he looks like Crypt Keeper right now.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah, he looks pretty bad.
I think I have Of Unknown Origin on DVD. I haven't watched it in forever though. Tom, isn't that a rat movie or some kind of rat creature, or am I thinking wrong?
Unknown origin. I don't know that one either.
Okay, if anybody got one glimpse of an arm or a hand or something, they'll know that Mabel did not die of a heart attack. That's okay. It was the big rat movie. Okay.
The way that she was all mangled up in in that chair, you'd think he stuck her through a meat grinder or something.
I know it. So this is the Jaws effect here. The mayor's
Yeah.
wanting to tear down every sign of Valentine's Day. He just thinks that, if we do that, then the problem will go away. And it's one of those things where if you ignore it, it'll go away. No, it doesn't go away.
Well,
They want to ignore the
that's
shark and Jaws.
well, yeah. Well, it's more of a reverse Jaws effect then because that Brody was wanting to like get everybody off the beaches, but the
Yeah,
mayor in Jaws was like, "No, we're having this Fourth of
yeah,
July
we'll lose
shindig.
money.
Everything's fine. There ain't no shark around here. What are
There's
you
no
talking about?"
kid that got chewed up in the ocean.
It's I never noticed before, but back when I was doing the watching all those Kevin Smith movies
Mhm.
for my channel, like I learned that he like that's one of his favorite movies is Jaws, and there's several like Jaws references in all his films, and I had never noticed them before until I found that out about him. So that's neat.
TJ's got a cool ass car too.
Yeah, what is that, like a Chevelle or something?
Something. It's kick ass. I know that.
Yeah, I do like it. It's almost like it. I don't know if it's a Chevelle, but I know the model of it looks like similar to the Cuda in the Phantasm movies.
Hmm. Me and Steve were kind of making jokes here, and this is supposed to be like a romantic scene
Yeah.
where Sarah and TJ are gonna get back together again, kind of, sort of. But there's a part where he says, "I'm so sorry. I'm so damn sorry," and Steve said, "He's damn sorry." He's not just sorry, he's damn sorry. Um, but actually, Paul Kelman was not born in Canada. I'm trying to remember where he was born at, but he pretty much grew up in Canada. And we never know what TJ stands for, other than the J must be Jesse, because Sarah calls him Jesse.
Teddy Joe.
At
That's so Teddy Joe.
Steve says, now we know what TJ means. The Jesse. That's what he
The Jesse.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
She does really good here. She looks like she's really crying here.
Yeah, I mean, she's one of the better like female, actresses in this movie for sure. I was surprised that not. I don't really know her from anything else other than this.
I think she's been in some other stuff, including there was a movie called Night of the Twisters, I think. And
I have that on VHS.
are you really?
Is it from like the 90s? I think.
I think so. And it's like it takes
Devin
place in the
Sawa was in it.
fall. I think it takes place in the fall, and all these tornadoes just start
Yeah.
springing up
I
everywhere.
have it, but I've never watched it. I know that the Devin Sawa is in it. I'm pretty sure when
Yeah,
he was a
I
young
think you're
kid,
right.
he's in that because I think he's on like the cover of that VHS that I have. So yeah, so she's in that.
Yeah, Lori Hallier's in that. I think
In-
she might play Devin Sawa's mom or something now. I can't
Possibly,
remember exactly.
but sometimes though, like people can be really good actors and actresses, but they just are their heart's just not in the film industry, and they just don't want to continue to pursue it. It's I don't know, but it's just it's how some people are, I guess.
I want to talk about her wardrobe though. Steve always laughs at me because I love that look. I love those plaid skirts and the boots from the early 80s. I love it. Now, Steve would probably say, that's a carryover of the late 70s, Nina. I said, well, I don't care. I like that. I really think that's a good look. It's
Yeah, I think it's a interesting look too for women. But just I think depending on I guess what they're actually wearing and stuff, it just I guess it only work. It doesn't work for everybody.
right.
Um, because and some people just kind of will look at it like, well, that's kind of an old lady look or something. Because if you think of like the movie Harold and Maude kind of dresses like that in the movie. So, but I mean, I think it's a really nice look for a woman though.
I mean, in all honesty, I could see where, depending on the woman, it could come off as kind of frumpy a little
Mhm.
bit, but on some women, it's just really attractive, I think.
Yeah. Just wear whatever you want though, as long as you're comfortable. You
Yeah,
know
if
what
you
I mean?
want to go retro, I think we're living in an age too now where you can wear whatever you want to wear. Now, you notice the moose head bottles there, like I said, they're a lot more colorful than what I have.
Mhm. I bet you'd like to have a big moose head beer neon light back there, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
That would be pretty cool actually.
I don't know what I'd do with it if I had something like that because that looks rather large.
Yeah, shoot, I'd probably put that right in the living room if Candace would let me.
You
But
think she would let
I'd highly doubt that.
you? She'd she'd be like, "What in the heck? Why you got this moose head beard thing?"
Also, like how Happy is kind of like the crazy Ralph character for Friday the 13th.
Yeah, and he calls them assholes. I like that too. And he obviously doesn't like these young people, but he gets stuck having to serve alcohol to them. So Happy's planning on playing a little trick on them, um, because they're wanting to still have a Valentine's dance, despite Chief Newbie saying no. The mayor says there's not going to be any dances, there's not going to be any parties out of respect for Mabel. And they're like, crap on that. Mabel wanted us to have this dance. I must have in another life been Canadian, Chris, because not only do I kind of like this Moosehead beer, but I believe my favorite whiskey, the Fireball whiskey, is Canadian as well.
Mm. Candace used to drink that years ago.
It's the best whiskey, and if you like cinnamon, like you'll be in heaven. Like it says
I do like cinnamon, so
it tastes like heaven, burns like hell. I think that's the tagline for Fireball whiskey.
yeah. I remember years ago when we were going to conventions. That's what Candace would. Her and Abby would like go in together and buy a bottle of it. Um, I never really cared that much for it though.
I've always thought, and no offense to any guys that like it, but I think of it as a woman's whiskey.
Now, Dana, how,
Is that sexist, Chris?
how are you going to genderize alcohol?
Well, it's just been my experience that a lot of women drink Fireball whiskey if they drink whiskey. And I'll tell you, I don't know if Uncle Bill is still in here or not, but there was one convention, I can't remember what convention it was, and me and Steve were hanging out with Uncle Bill and CK, and I think Uncle Bill got me like a little, like the airplane type of bottles of whiskey. He said, Dana, I got you some whiskey. I said, oh, what'd you get? What kind you get me? And I think it was a cinnamon whiskey, but it wasn't Fireball, but I tried it anyway.
Mm.
But anyway, I said, I think I had him try Fireball, and he was like, oh, how do you drink that, Dana? So
I tell you, one of the worst things I ever drank at a convention that CK and Uncle Bill convinced me to drink was that absinthe shit.
oh, I won't touch that.
Oh my gosh, that was gross. It's like never again. I don't know what you
Did
guys
you
are thinking.
did you see halos or outlines, glowing outlines around people's?
No, that's all bullshit if you ask me, because I never experienced anything like that.
I
I'm like,
think
this stuff is awful. Where did y'all get this? A Dollar Tree?
didn't Uncle Bill get really sick
I think so.
after
Yeah.
drinking that?
Hmm.
Yeah, I won't touch that stuff. I'm scared of that. Um, but something else that CK mixed up. I will never let CK mix me a drink ever again.
Well, no, I
And
would. I
I
wouldn't even do
should
that.
I should have not known not to do it when CK called them fuck drivers. Excuse my language, but that's what he called them. He didn't call them screwdrivers. He called them fuck drivers. And I let him mix me up some combination of dark liquor. And Steve told me that's where I went wrong, that I shouldn't have drank that dark liquor. I am not lying, folks. We were staying at a hotel, thank goodness. And I drank one of those things. And when me and Steve were going back to our hotel room, It was like the carpet was moving underneath my feet,
Oh,
just
good
like
lord.
waves. And I just like literally fell into the bed and I was like, what in the hell was in that?
He must have sprinkled some shroom dust or
I
something.
don't know. That was the weirdest thing ever. So yeah, I won't let CK mix me any drinks anymore.
He's like, we gonna mess Dana up tonight.
Oh, I'm sure he laughed and laughed and laughed about that.
Well, I don't know if I should talk about this now, but I was gonna say that I remember the one time that I I smoked weed with some people. I don't know if you remember Rob and Brandy that used to
Oh
be
yeah.
Dip board and stuff. Um, with them and buddy, I never smoked with them again after that because
Did
they
they
had
have some heavy duty stuff or something?
well, I think so
Must have been a little enhancement to it.
because it was at night we were all hanging out in somebody's room. I can't remember, and Candace was in there with the stuff, and she said that I was just not even talking to anybody else. I was just like sitting there staring at an alarm clock or something.
I
I
think
don't even.
I
I can't
think Candace
remember.
may have told me about that. Oh man.
Yeah, so I was like, no, don't want to do that again. I like to, if I'm gonna smoke, I at least still like to have a bit of control.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Well, see, that's why I won't. I did gummies one time, and that's why I won't do
Got it
do
too.
those anymore because the time that I did what it said on there. They say if you're starting out, you take half of it, and then you wait about 45 minutes. You take the other half. Oh my gosh, when that stuff fully kicked in, I was like, I got thirsty. And I said, I'm going to get up off the couch. I'm just going to walk over here. Like, I mean, Chris knows and Candace knows they've been in our house. The living room and the kitchen are almost back to back with each other. So it's not
Yeah.
very far. Okay. I felt like it was taking me forever to get to that refrigerator. It was like my foot took an extra second and a half to hit the floor with each step I was taking. I was like, what in the world? And so that was my first, I guess, introduction to THC or, or whatever you want to call it. And people told me I should smoke it, that it would be better if I smoked it than to do an edible. Um, but I don't know. I'm scared now, so I'm probably too scared to
Well,
smoke.
it just depends, I guess, because everybody's body reacts differently to that stuff. I have a friend. He said that he smoked weed one time and he never done it again because he didn't like how it made him feel.
Yeah.
So yeah, everybody's body reacts differently.
And I was like, then I could start getting paranoid. How long is this going to last? Am I ever going to feel normal again? And, I went to sleep eventually. And when I woke up, I was fine again. But I just, that paranoia was setting in a little bit. But here's my question. Why does TJ have that uh
Ascot
ascot
or
handkerchief?
whatever it is, handkerchief. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, he must be like a big Fred on Scooby Doo fan or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or
I
he
mean,
must be.
that's
I don't know. I mean,
I
it
don't
is
like
odd.
that. That does not look cool. That's not a cool look. Sorry, Paul Kelman. That's not a cool look for your character.
It's funny how you compared him to Bruce Campbell, and he's kind of dressed like Ash in this scene.
He is, yeah. Tom, I have not seen My Fat Greek Wedding.
I haven't either.
He says that there's a funny high scene, and
I don't know. I'm just not too interested in stuff like that, honestly. Um, but I don't know who's to say. I might watch it one of these days. I think Candace likes that movie though. I know she said I don't know. Well, I don't know if she liked it. Don't quote me on that, but I know she said she's seen it before.
Uh-huh. I think they have moose head in the cans too. I've never seen moose head in the cans, just the bottles around here anyway. And they also have, I think they have Budweiser, and I'm not sure what the other is.
I mean, I'm convinced they totally created the Shelley character in Friday the 13th Part 3 off of him. I mean, it has to be because it just like you said, Paramount
Yeah.
put out both of those movies, so it's very possible.
Look at Paul Kelman's face. How can you not love that face?
It seems like that would be very uncomfortable.
Mm. But I'm a big Don Scardino fan too. So I like the funny, sweet, nerdy type of guys too. Do you know who Don Scardino is, Chris?
I know the name, but remind me.
Okay, so he was in Squirm, the killer worm
Hmm.
movie, and he was also in He Knows You're Alone. He played Marvin in that. He was the guy that was working in the morgue, and he had a relationship with Caitlin O'Haney's character, the main character in
Oh,
that.
okay, yeah, that might be where I know it from.
And I just love Marvin. I'm in love with the Marvin character too, and I'm in love with Don Scardino. And Steve just looks at me and just shakes his head.
Now, her, like, I think she has one of the most iconic shots in the entire movie when there's
Oh
like
yeah.
that close up when she's screaming.
Mhm.
To me, that's like one of the most recognizable like shots from the whole movie.
And that was actually the scene that I saw in Fangoria, the uncut
Oh, okay.
scene. Um, and we're going to see what happens to her here in a little bit because the boyfriend's going away. He's going to get them some more beer, I think. Probably getting them some more moose head.
I can't remember what year it came out, but like, you know the movie with John Travolta, Urban Cowboy.
Oh yeah.
The way he was just standing there, kind of reminded me of that movie for some reason. I don't know.
I'm just noticing this. It might be the moose head making me laugh at this stuff, but did he have his shirt open earlier, or was it buttoned up?
I'm pretty sure it was buttoned up when
Okay.
they first started that scene. So I was like, I don't know, like he must have been wearing that handkerchief because must have been sweating or burning up or something. So I gotta unbutton his shirt, man. Like I don't know what was going on with him.
I gotta show my sexy chest now. I don't know.
Yeah,
Um, Tom, if you're talking to me, I sadly never got to meet John Saxon, but I think Chris, didn't you get to meet John
I
Saxon?
did. I got to meet him at a horror hound in Cincinnati several years ago. He was a really nice guy. And I at that when I met him at that point, it was to where like I was going to a lot of conventions, and I only got one thing signed by him at that show. And it was from Black Christmas.
Uh,
I didn't get any Nightmare on Elm
no,
Street
Nightmare on
stuff,
Elm
or
Street
nothing.
stuff.
And I regret that because he died shortly after, maybe like a year or two after that convention. So
Yeah, I was bummed when I heard that John Saxon passed away. I'm bummed when anybody that I've enjoyed watching or people that I've met and stuff, and then I hear, that they have passed away.
yeah,
David Lynch, his
there it
death
is.
was, yeah, David Lynch's death hit me hard. I think it hit a lot of people hard too. Yeah, this is definitely an iconic scene in general and an iconic death scene. Oh, well, Happy made a reappearance there. That shot of the miner's mask with the blood on it is iconic to me as well. Oh, here we go. Oh, and that is very painful looking too. Well, you're a little too late, dude. Like something that I always found funny here when John goes into where the showers are. See, he thinks she's, stripped off her clothes and standing in the shower waiting for him, but he has to be able to see her hanging up there sooner than they make it out to be. Like, look how he's looking. It's like, can you not tell that she's hanging up on that faucet? It's like coming to the back of her head. It's like it takes him an extra half a second.
Well, logistics have never been a selling point in slasher
No,
movies.
no, they have not. There's logic, there's real logic, and then there's horror movie logic.
Yeah.
Did they give him a migraine? That's what it looked like. He was suffering from a migraine. I'm still trying to find flaws in Don Frank's wig there.
So this came out in 1981,
Hmm.
and so it's my understanding that the time frame here in the movie is the same as the year it came out, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
So it has me curious, is like because some of the women here are wearing stuff that seems like it's out of like the 50s and the 60s.
Yeah.
So it doesn't.
Especially Harriet there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it just kind of seems like they weren't like up in modern like fashion and stuff, I
I'm
guess.
just wondering. I haven't heard that that's what they were trying to do, but I wonder if they were trying to make it kind of timeless or something.
I
Like
don't
you couldn't
know.
really pick out what the
Kind
time period was.
kind of like one of those like what is the town in John Carpenter's Village of the Damned.
Oh yeah.
It almost kind of seems like they're living in modern times, but the people that live in that town kind of are behind the times.
Hmm. I tell you one thing. I would not be wearing that much white if I was Sarah, because let me tell you guys and gals something here. I'm a very messy person, and inevitably, if I go out to eat, or even if I'm eating at home, I'm going to dribble something on whatever I've got on. So I would have that ruined in 2 seconds. I'd get ketchup on it, or pizza sauce, or chili, or whatever I was eating.
You know, if ever anybody ever made a horror movie carnival, this would make for a good carnival ride, themed carnival ride,
Yeah.
or like one of those dark rides, like at theme parks and stuff.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And you could have the miner coming at you, with the pickaxe or something. And
Yeah, I think that would be awesome because Paramount used to own Kings Island,
mm,
and I always loved going to Kings Island when Paramount owned it because they would have all the different movie themes stuff. But and I was even when I was younger, I was a big Friday the 13th fan. I always knew that Paramount put those out because it was at the beginning of every one of those first 8 movies. And I was always like upset when my family would go to Kings Island and there would be no Friday the 13th stuff in the park.
Yeah. Well, Paramount, unfortunately, even though the Friday the 13th series, whether you like it or you hate it, made Paramount a lot of money. But
Mhm.
Paramount always refused it. It was like it was excuse me for saying it this way, but they always treated Friday the 13th films as the bastard stepchild of their company.
I don't understand why. It's just- they made them a lot of money.
Yeah, and on the other hand, New Line Cinema was always proud of Freddie. They always said that it was, New Line Cinema, Freddie built them,
Wow.
you know, the house
They
that
got
Freddie built.
they had some stooges working at Paramount, sounds like.
Yeah. There is no way I would be able to go into a mine now because I'm so claustrophobic. And I would always be afraid that there's going to be a cave in. I'm going to get trapped down here.
Yeah, I'd be scared to death because, like, I'm not claustrophobic or anything, but just like I've had family members that have worked in the mines and stuff. My uncle, which is my mom's brother, he he worked in the mine, and there was like a piece of machinery that came down on his hand and cut his thumb off when he was working. So, like, just thinking about stuff like that scares the shit out of me.
Mm. Well, and over the years, in places that are mining towns, pretty much, you always hear of cave ins, stuff collapses and falls in, and people are trapped for not hours, but days underground.
Yeah,
And I'm just like, no, I would die. I would just have a panic attack and just die.
yeah, and where I live in Hazard, we were definitely a mining town for decades, pretty much. But that stuff is kind of becoming a thing of the past now because of all these different other sources of energy that are coming out and all that.
Tom, you say it's not only Paramount. Some directors don't talk about certain movies, like Oliver Stone disliked The Hand. Yeah, you are correct on that. And some actors and actresses don't like to talk about horror films in particular that they were in, at the beginning of their careers and stuff.
Call Pamela Springsteen.
Yeah, exactly. She's a prime example.
Jeez, that upsets me so much. You have no idea how much I want to meet her, but
I would love to meet her too.
she wants nothing to do with any of the horror stuff. Unfortunately, though.
No, she does not. And, as much as I like Jamie Lee Curtis, there was a time when, I still love Jamie Lee Curtis, but Jamie Lee Curtis was a horror snob.
But
Oh, yeah.
thankfully, they did. She did provide them where they could use her likeness on the Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3.
Mhm.
This 1984. It's from the 1984 publishing.
Yep.
Uh,
They do great work,
yeah,
1984
check
Publishing.
check this out on the inside there.
Yep. They preserved Pamela
Yeah,
Springsteen in Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3.
yeah, love that. Did you ever get one of those, Dana?
I haven't yet. I've got to get on that. I've been a little strapped for cash here in several months, but I think I'm beginning to crawl out from under debt a little bit. So maybe I can start buying some stuff again.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I've never like. As many times as I've seen this movie, I've never really like paid attention to the fashion choices in this movie, and
Mhm.
it's some definitely some interesting ones.
Yeah, even the sweater that the character of Mike has on and that he lends to Harriet because it's so cold down there, looks like a 1950s
It
type of
does. It
sweater.
does. It's so odd.
And Hollis is being sort of a jokester as well, just popping up out of nowhere and scaring the girls like that.
But that might, now I think about it, that might be the whole intention of the film because where they're such a small town and maybe they're just behind the times or they're not aware of like the other like popular fashion choices that are in the rest of the world or
Uh,
something. And but because I think by them like living in a modern time here and the fashion stuff that they chose for this, it adds to that charm of the
yeah.
movie and it makes it stand out, amongst other slashers for sure.
And so I really think that, and this isn't the only horror movie to do this, by having multiple pranksters in here. First, Hollis scared the girls. Then Howard drops out of the top of the mine and scares Hollis and the girls. So what they're doing is they're setting you up. They're getting you to be scared and then laugh because ha ha, it wasn't real. Nobody's hurt. Nobody, nothing bad's happened, and then something really bad is going to happen. So we're getting set up here. Is what's happening here. So did you notice that line where Hollis says, "You would forget your own head if it wasn't tied on with rope"?
Yeah,
That's going to come into play
yeah,
here.
that's called foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. Foreshadowing. Yes, exactly. But sometimes it takes me a few times to watch a movie before I get all of that. Well, Mike and Harriet are having a little alone time, but I don't think the mine's a good place to do that for a lot of reasons.
I must not be watching the same version as you because they just came back and they were talking to the sheriff and telling him that Harry Warden's at the mine. That's what now he's on his way there. So yeah,
Oh, okay. So
yeah, mine has to be completely different from yours.
I'm wondering if that is the theatrical cut on that
I don't
on
know.
that.
It's on Shutter. That's where I'm watching it. So it must be.
So I'm seeing that now where Tommy is pulling up in the car and
Hmm.
he's telling Chief Newbie. But me and Chris are pretty close.
Yeah,
Sometimes that happens.
it really doesn't matter to me. I mean, I've seen this movie so many times. And I've seen, but I don't think I've ever. I probably this is the only version I think that I've ever. I don't think I've seen the uncut version. Then
Oh, okay. I'd like to hear your opinion on it when you do watch the
Mhm.
uncut version.
I think I have. I think the DVD that I have of it has got the uncut version on it
Okay,
though.
yeah.
It's an older version. I think it was one of the first releases that they put of this out on DVD. Probably it's the one that has like the lenticular slip cover. You know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about?
Mhm. And I more than likely got that one too because I was like I said, I was super excited when I found out that they were finally going to put it out with all the uncut footage.
Mhm. And you said you're not really a fan of the remake of this, right?
I don't hate it, but for me, this is the only one and only My Bloody Valentine. Now I can watch My Bloody Valentine 3D or without the 3D or whatever, and I get some enjoyment out of it. But this is, if I had to say which one I preferred, it would be this one, the
Oh
original.
yeah, me too. But I really do like the remake. It's a very different movie too. Like there's a lot of stuff that they kind of wrote to be new stuff for the movie instead of just taking everything and just redoing it, scene for scene with the original. But yeah, I really do like plus
Oh, Chris, don't lie. You want to see that full frontal shot of that chick, don't you? I know
well, I
Steve
mean,
does. I was talking to him about that earlier today. I'm going to get Chris in trouble with Candace. I don't
no,
want to do that. I
no,
better behave myself.
nah, she can go watch some videos of Young Blood. She'll be all right.
There you go. So y'all can make all the jokes you want about getting screwed right here, because Hollis has discovered Mike and Harriet. Hey, Phil.
Hey, Phil, what's going on, man? Oh,
So not only does the miner use pickaxes and things like that, he's going to use a nail gun. Oh man, he's taking out Hollis. Come on.
that's not always the case, though, Tom. I feel like there are several horror remakes that are better than the originals, such as John Carpenter's The Thing, David Cronenberg's The Fly.
Mm.
I even like the '70s Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah, I
After
love
the
that
original.
version. Yeah. Um,
So yeah, I can see what Tom's saying though. Like that's for the majority of remakes. Yeah,
right.
that's the case. But there are exceptions for sure.
I think though things like The Fly and Invasion of the Body Snatchers, The Thing, I think those warranted a good remake by a great director because they were so old. Now they want to turn around and remake something that's just come out. And I'm
I
like,
agree
why would
with
you
what
do that?
what Ben said. He said the Blob remake is better than the original. I agree with that as well.
Blob remake's another good example. Yeah.
Everything after
Everything after
2000.
2000, Tom.
I'd have to think because I can only really at the top of my head I can think of like the Friday the 13th remake, Number on Elm Street remake, The Omen. What other remakes came out after 2000? The Fog I
The
think came out
Fog.
after.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
that
Fog.
was bad.
Bad,
Um,
bad, bad.
Dawn of the Dead, yeah, was another one. What Dawn of the Dead come out like 2003?
Yeah,
Remember?
that seems right. Yeah.
Um,
Hey, Coco. Coco
yeah,
mentioned Dawn of the Dead. Yeah.
yeah, that's why she reminded me of that. So,
I just looked down there and I was like, oh, Coco popped up in here.
but I like the Dawn of the Dead remake.
I did not. I
I,
dislike
I
that
mean,
one.
there are parts of it that I don't like the whole zombie baby thing. I think that's pretty stupid. But there are parts of it I think that it's a really much different movie from the original because the original Dawn of the Dead is my favorite horror movie of all time. But
Hmm.
I actually I like the scene in the remake where they're all on top of the building and they're like kind of searching out different celebrities, zombies that are in the crowd. Like there's like a Burt Reynolds zombie they call him, and I think that stuff is funny. I like that.
Okay, I'm not trying to be crude here, but I just want to know if I'm wrong or not. Was this in another movie, or was this in the Dawn of the Dead remake where a woman is getting pleasured from behind? That's all I will say about that. Is there a scene like that, or
I
am I
can't
just?
remember. Um, Possibly. I don't remember.
If anybody can help me out with that, again, I'm not trying to be crude. I'm just wanting to see if my memory is as flawed as everything else on my body. Coco, you say I saw it in the theater, and the way the shit hit the fan so quickly was great.
Oh, the Dawn of the Dead remake? Yeah, I love the opening of that movie. I think it's great because it's just like so intense and like yeah, it's so very very different from the original's opening.
Now, Tom, never say never that John Carpenter won't make another movie. I mean,
I
other
think he's
people do.
done.
You think he's done?
Yeah, I think he's done.
I
Yeah,
guess I'm giving him too much credit,
I
right?
mean, I think he still focuses like on his music and stuff, but other than that, I don't think he has the passion like he used to with filmmaking, unfortunately.
Okay, Coco, so I was correct. You said the guy named Steve, the asshole, was giving it to some girl from behind. So, and I was like, George Romero would have never put anything like that in his film. I don't think. Uh,
Well, no, well, it was also a different time too. You got to think about that
yeah.
because, yeah, it's just because it's two totally different eras of filmmaking and like sex sells. I mean, that's just the
It
facts.
definitely does sell. I mean, that's the truth. I ain't heard from Uncle Bill since he was talking about me talking about the that chick fondling that hose.
Well, he must be deep in a box of chocolates or something somewhere.
Yeah. Well, he better be spending time with his significant other. And if he's not doing that tonight, he sure as hell better be doing it this weekend, or he might be in the doghouse.
Oh no.
So this movie really goes by fast. And I've said that about a lot of movies that I enjoy. I just don't. Chris, do you think there are any slow parts to this movie?
Not really. Um, I mean, it's pretty much like has a really good pace to it. Nothing really kind of goes on for longer than it should, um, and just everything just kind of fits. So no, I don't think so.
And a well-paced horror movie is a great thing because
Oh
I've
yeah,
seen some horror movies that are like they're
yeah, for
not
real. Like
well-paced at all.
they will. There's some horror movies out there that will drag stuff on and on. Like okay, let's move on here, but I don't know. It just depends on the filmmaker, I guess.
Yeah. Well, if you're gonna have scenes that go on for slightly longer than they should, make them entertaining. Don't just have like meaningless conversation or something. Like, you know, some people don't like Tarantino stuff, but if Tarantino has a talky scene, it's usually entertaining though.
I love Tarantino
I
stuff.
do too.
Not all of it. I'll be honest. I'm not. I wasn't a big fan of Jackie Brown.
I, I
Um,
like Jackie Brown, but to be
I do
honest,
too.
it's not one of my favorites whenever I talk about
Yeah,
Tarantino.
it's definitely it's probably towards the bottom of my list when it comes to his films. Like Reservoir Dogs is my favorite.
Oh, I love Reservoir
And
Dogs.
I love the Kill Bill movies.
Pulp
Uh,
Fiction, I
Pulp
love.
Fiction, I love that. Even like the stuff that he just didn't direct, but he was a part of, like From Dusk Till Dawn. I love that. And True Romance.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I'm a big Tarantino fan.
Death Proof.
Oh yeah, yeah, Death Proof. Uh, That's one I haven't watched in a while too.
I love the Hateful Eight too. I mean, me and Steve
I've never seen it. I
you
have
haven't
never.
seen the
I
Hateful Eight?
no, but at the last Scare Fest I went to, I talked to a vendor there, and we were talking about movies, and he brought that one up, and because he says he does a podcast on just Tarantino's films, and he brought up Hateful Eight, and I was like, I've
Mhm.
never seen that one, so he's like, yeah, you gotta watch that. But I think the last Tarantino film I watched was Django Unchained.
Oh yeah.
That was
I
great.
like that one
I
too.
loved it.
And there was the foreshadowing coming to
Oh, yeah.
fruition with Howard's head there. And if you're a big Cynthia Dale fan and you like seeing her legs and stuff, you're getting a lot of footage of that. Even though these are supposed to be frightening scenes,
Yeah, it's
like Chris says, sex sells. So
yeah. Before you mentioned that movie earlier, you said she's part of the Heavenly Bodies, I think you said it's called.
mhm.
Um, this is the thing that I knew her from as well. But I've said that before. I was like, I only know this person from this or from that. But then, like, I'll watch other movies that I've seen before, and then I'll start noticing. Like, I did that with James LaGrosse like a while back when I was
Oh
watching
yeah,
Phantasm 2. I was like, I don't know James LaGrosse from anything else. But then, like, it just so happened, like, every week that I was doing a stream, like, he was in Batteries Not Included, he was in Solar Babies, and I was like, oh, maybe I have seen more stuff with James
I
LaGrosse.
do that too. I'll be on a stream talking about something and I'll say, I don't think I've seen anything with so and so on it. And then it's like, wait a minute, Dana.
Yeah,
And sometimes it's after I've gotten off the stream and I'm like, oh, you this crazy girl. You forgot about all these other movies.
but when it comes to her, I don't recognize because she's a very attractive woman.
Hmm.
And I think I would probably if I'd seen her in other things, I would remember her. But I think this may be the only thing that I know that I've seen that she's in.
So it looks like Axel has basically drowned. And TJ's saying it's too late for Axel. We gotta go. We gotta get out of here.
Oh no. On mine, Cynthia Dale was just killed. So
Okay. Yeah, there's some foreshadowing for you guys and gals. If y'all are watching the uncut version, you're getting some foreshadowing. No, Chris is just telling you outright. She's gonna
yeah,
hide it
she's
here.
gonna die, guys. You're gonna see it.
Yeah, Steve doesn't like it when Cynthia Dale's character gets killed either.
Well, Steve, it's a movie, man. She doesn't really die.
You can go watch Heavenly Body.
Now, what did you say the lady's name that plays Sarah in this? What was her?
Lori Hallier, I think
Okay.
is how you pronounce it.
You ever feel like in the end when she's got the blood run down her face and her makeup's running and all that? Does she kind of give you Amy Steele vibes?
Come to think of it, yeah,
Yeah, I've seen a lot of similarities here from the Friday 13th franchise.
yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah. She just got it on my version.
mm.
It's pretty brutal how she dies too, because like he hits her with that pickaxe, and then he just keeps like almost lifting her up.
I don't know what it is either about the whole minor Harry Warden. thing, but like he just has like one of the coolest looks when it comes to slasher killers.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, I don't know if it's just because it's just from the area I'm from, and I'm so used to the whole mining thing. But it's really cool. Like it's very simple, but it's
But
also it definitely works as being
it's
intimidating.
it's creepy because all you can hear is that breathing.
Yes,
The miner doesn't say anything or you just hear that.
He's the Darth Vader of slashers.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't breathe like Jason Voorhees breathes. He's like it's a different kind of thing because it's coming through that respirator.
Mhm.
So we're getting down to the final minutes. On mine, I've got about 10 more minutes. Chris has probably got a little bit less than that.
Uh, I got about 7 minutes.
Coco said, just Googled Heavenly Bodies and never saw that. I wonder
Me
if it
neither.
a bit of the inspiration for that new movie with Demi Moore.
The Substance? No, I doubt it. 'Cause the Substance is pretty original.
I haven't seen The Substance yet.
Oh, Dana. I I've watched uh I've watched over half of it, but so far it's very good. Very one of the most different horror movies I've watched in a while. But I need to end up finishing that, but I think you're really going to like it.
I'll
And
have
it
to see if me and Steve can watch that one.
And it must be pretty, good over to like, the general people that have watched it because it was up for several different awards this year
Mhm.
for the Oscars. So yeah, like I said, it's really good from what I've seen so far of it.
And I like Demi Moore too. I always have liked her. Sarah's looking a little worse for wear here.
Yeah, but
Uh,
once I do finish the Substance, though, I'm going to talk about it on my channel as probably as one of my movies for this year.
so y'all definitely need to hop on over to Chris's Crater Mania channel and see him talk about The Substance.
That's right.
Coco says, I think the cinematography was nice, but seemed to go off the rails.
I mean, I can see what she means there, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's pretty good. I think, especially for to be such a late movie in Demi Moore's career. She does a freaking killer job in it.
People might think I'm silly here, but I think the choreography of this fight scene is great here, where TJ is going up against the miner here. They shouldn't be hitting those walls with those pickaxes. That's not a good idea.
This is completely off topic. Was anybody in the chat here finished Cobra Kai yet, or if you're even a fan of Cobra? Has anybody here finished it? Because I've watched the last episodes of it last night, and it was incredible. I loved it.
I need to ask Steve about it because he's the one that's really been watching it. I haven't had a chance to really sit down and watch that
I
show.
thought it was one of the best endings to a TV series ever.
We find out it's not Harry Warden.
It's Axl Rose.
It's Axl Rose. Yeah. And we find out that when Axel was a little boy, Harry Warden killed his daddy.
Mhm.
So, needless to say, Axel doesn't like Valentine's Day. So,
Uh, thought that the song that he sings too, like "Daddy gone away, Harry Ward make you pay." I thought that was a very like creepy element they added
and
to
that
that.
that laugh too. That is one of the creepiest laughs
Mhm.
when right before it starts into the Ballad of Harry Warden. That insane laughter at the beginning of that song is just so iconic. I'm still trying to find flaws in Don Frank's wig there. I can't find them.
Coco, you said you really liked Cobra Kai and just kind of stopped after season 3. Well, yeah, it does get slow about halfway through the series, but this last season was really like I thought was killer. I mean, it was like it starts off kind of slow. The season 6 does, but like these last few episodes are the best episodes, some of the best episodes from the whole series. So
So, you know, Chris is probably into the credits now, but um, Axel's hand has come out from the rubble, basically. And Sarah's like, TJ, I have to see him. Now, this is going to be kind of one final, like, gotcha moment.
mhm.
Uh, because it looks like he's, reaching out his hand for help. And it's grabbing onto her. And we see that on the other side, Axel is cutting his own arm off, basically, to get loose. So when Sarah pulls, she pulls out Axel's arm. Yeah, Hannah girl, I'll be waiting in hell for you. And then he's screaming for Harry. The whole fucking town's gonna die. This whole um, segment here is just iconic to me. And then he starts laughing and singing the Daddy's Gone
Yeah.
Away. Harry Warden made you pay. And then you get that insane laughter, and it goes into the Ballad of Harry Warden, which is, I tell you, the Ballad of Harry Warden is one of those incredible, for me anyway, as a horror fan, iconic songs.
And in the remake, Jensen Ackles kind of plays. I can't remember if it's the same character name but like if he has a different name in the remake, but he kind of plays the same role as like Hollis does in the original. But the ending to the remake is very different from what this is as well. And I think that might be another reason I really like the remake is because of Jensen Ackles,
Mhm.
because I'm a big Supernatural fan as well. That's one of my favorite TV series of all
I
time.
need to watch more of Supernatural because I've seen a handful of episodes and I like them really well.
Oh yeah, and the to me with that show, because it's 15 seasons of that show
Mhm.
has, and it to me it gets better and better with each season. Now a lot of people wouldn't agree with that. There's a lot of people that think that the series went downhill after season 5.
Mm.
Um, but I disagree. I absolutely love that show. I think it has a perfect blend of horror, comedy, sci-fi, action,
Yeah.
drama, everything. Like it's got the whole 9 yards to it, and Candace really liked it in the first season. That the first season to me is kind of slow,
Uh huh.
but and it really kind of picks up in the second season because in the first season it's also not as appealing to me as the rest of the series because um, they didn't have any licensed music for the first season. And
Gotcha.
then but throughout the rest of the series, they got all these licensed like classic rock songs, AC/DC, Kansas, Bad Company, all kinds of different ones. It's awesome, and there's a lot of different like people that pop up in the show too. Sorry to be going on like a supernatural,
Oh,
like,
no, that's fine. I like that, you
but
know.
there's several like horror, classic horror stars that show up throughout the series and like cameos and as guest stars and stuff. Like there's the episode that where Linda Blair's and she plays this cop. And then there's like a Dean, Jensen Ackles character at the end of that episode makes comments like, so she looked familiar. Do you remember seeing her before? That's what Sam says. And Dean's like, I don't know, but I'm kind of feeling hungry for some pea soup.
Yeah, exactly. I think I may have seen that clip.
I love stuff like that in the show. It's great.
And Coco, don't feel like a motor mouth. I love people to come in here and talk
Heck
about different
yeah, it's
things.
engaging for sure. Like, she's been helping us bring up things to talk about. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Coco
appreciate it.
says, I was really surprised by Cobra Kai and how much I enjoyed it. That's been a while ago though. And she also likes the Ballad of Harry Warden
Mhm.
song. And I actually have the LP of
Mhm.
that, and I was listening to a little bit of it the other day. Um, but no, I don't want anybody to ever feel like they can't, come in here and just hang out, because that's what want a lot of these streams to be, is a place where people can come and share different things. We don't always have to stay on topic. Just because we're doing a watch along for something,
Lord knows I don't.
I don't. I drift off into other territory, and um, I know my face is flushed. I think that's this moose head again. I've almost finished the moose head, actually.
Yeah,
Um,
Dana, you're blushing.
yeah, somebody will get on here. Why is Dana? She got rosacea or something? She's on here in her face. That's what happens when I drink certain types of alcohol. Primarily, like a beer will do that to me. Um, the Fireball whiskey, I don't think that does it to me, but beer does.
So what do
Oh,
you got coming up now, Dana? After this, like, what you got any cool stuff
well,
coming
let's
up?
see what we got coming up. Don't have any watch alongs after tonight for the weekend, but next weekend I'm going to be picking a couple of choices. By the way, y'all get you want to vote on the upcoming watch alongs for the 22nd and 23rd of February. Make sure you get your votes in before February 17th. That's this next Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to be locking down the polls and picking winners for both of those days. So if you haven't voted yet and you want to feel like you have a say so, please, get those votes in.
Mm.
It looks like right now the Toolbox Murders is winning for Saturday, and Girls Night Out is winning for Sunday, which I
The
was
ori-
shocked.
the original Toolbox Murders, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. I love Toby Hooper, God rest his soul, but I do not, I do not
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
remake.
It wasn't nothing special for sure.
Coco, you say no Kit Kat Valentine's box for me.
Oh, I
I
love me
didn't
some
get
Kit
any
Kat.
box of candy, but Steve did get me a dozen red roses, and he got me this really cool pop up card that's a pit bull. And my dog Reggie, or our dog Reggie, is a pit bull mix, and you can put different like clothes on him, and just have him say different things. Right now, he's saying Happy Valentine's Day, and you can put roses in his mouth if you want to, or you know, just different things. And Steve's like, "It's not much, Dana. Don't get all excited." I said, "I love this. I mean, I love dogs. I love Steve, and I think he got me a great gift."
So you said it's kind of like you could put different outfits, like and
Mhm.
attach it to it. That
Yeah,
kind of sounds like the old paper dolls, like play
exactly.
sets and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Because Candace has several of those. Like she has a Doris Day paper doll play set. Now there was a Munsters one that they made back in, I guess, the
Uh,
'60s or the early '70s. One I can't remember, but it's kind of hard to find a complete one of those for a good price. You can find them; they are out there, but they're super expensive. Um,
did they ever have a I Love Lucy one? I just wonder.
I don't know. It seems like they do. It seems like Candace has one.
Okay, because I know she loves Lucille Ball. I know she loves
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it's a I Love Lucy, but it may just be like a Lucille Ball
Lucille
paper
Ball.
doll
Mhm.
set. So it seems like she does have. I know she's got the Doris Day one for sure, but and then there was there was something like that in the '80s too. There was these playset toys, whatever you want to call them,
Mhm.
where they had like a backdrop and they were kind of like little stickers. I forget what they were called.
Are you talking about the color forms?
Color forms, yes, because
I used to love those too.
I
Yeah,
have a Gremlins color forms set around here somewhere.
I think I used to have when I was a kid an ET one that
Yeah,
I really
I
liked.
remember seeing there was this one year I went to Lexington Comic Con, and there was a vendor there, and she had this huge, like, old vintage toy booth, and it was pretty much everything in there was like vintage from at least from either the early '90s and before that '87, whatever. But there was just one like portion of her booth. It was this corner. It was nothing but vintage ET stuff.
Oh,
Like she had like plushes. She had like clock. There was a clock she had. There was like a toothbrush set. There was beach towels, all kinds of stuff. And I remember seeing like she had like a that color form set, I believe. And I
mhm,
was like, "Oh wow!" I would look because I love ET. I love anything to
yeah.
do with ET. So yeah, I was so like upset because before I had seen that booth, I had spent pretty much close to all my money at the
Oh,
convention.
no.
So I was like, "No!" I wish I could have got some of that stuff.
Yeah, that happens to me too. Unfortunately, I'll see one or two things and go all out for them, and then you go to
Yeah,
another book. It's like, oh
yeah.
God, please. But sometimes Steve, bless his heart, if I've already bought stuff and I see something else I want, unless it's just like crazy expensive, he'll say, "I'll get it for you." So there have been times where he's helped me out, and I was able to get most everything that I wanted. Um, I remember he a long time ago when I met Kevin Tenney.
Mhm.
And
I'm
Kevin
jealous.
Tenney,
I've
by the
never.
way, he's a cool guy. You got to meet him if you ever get a chance.
I've been dying to for years because unfortunately I didn't he had did like several appearances back in around like what 2007 or 2008 or something like that, but I didn't start going to cons until 2009, and ever since I've been going, like, he has not come back to any shows around here.
I
uh
can't remember if I met him at a Fright Night or if it was something else, but there were a lot of Night of the Demons people there. And of course,
mhm,
Kevin Tenney directed Night of the Demons.
yeah.
And what Steve got for me was it looked like a Ouija board. And I think it said witch board on it. And I
Mhm,
want to say it had like a single or something like that from and I think it's Dennis Michael Tenney. It's Kevin Tenney's brother. I think
mhm.
he did a lot of the music for
he,
Kevin's
he did,
earlier
yeah.
films, and I think it was one of the songs from Witchboard, and I
Mhm.
had Kevin Tenney sign it, but I think Steve bought it for me.
Yeah,
And
I'm a huge Kevin Tenney fan. Like I said, I've wanted to meet him for years. I'm friends with him on Facebook, and I talk with him a lot on there.
I
And I
saw that. Speaking of Kevin Tenney, I saw what you posted about him talking about his wife wanting to leave the Christmas tree up, and she said
yeah,
it was a Valentine's tree.
hmm
And I laughed at what Chris put, and then I put under there. I said uh, something about I needed Kevin Tenney to talk to my husband, and then Kevin Tenney was like, "What about an intervention for you and my wife?" I was like, that is so funny. But I just love
yeah,
Kevin
yeah.
Tenney.
He's so cool. Like he's very like I think that's awesome that he's that cool of a guy to just to joke around and interact with his fans and stuff.
Mhm.
Because I've had him on there for several years as a friend, and I'm always commenting on his stuff, and he jokes back and forth with people. He's just like a regular guy,
Yeah.
And but I absolutely love his work. From Now the Demons to Witchboard to Witch Trap to
Oh yeah.
even Pinocchio's Revenge. I love
I
that.
haven't seen Pinocchio's Revenge. That's one of his that I have not seen.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I mean, it's just got, it's goofy for sure, and it's not like no cinematic masterpiece or anything, but
That could be a watch along, possible watch along movie,
it,
Chris.
it's it's great. I love it, and I would love to meet him one of these days. For after I mean, I've talked to him and stuff on Facebook and stuff like
Yeah.
for so long. But I would love to finally come and meet because I've messaged him in the past stuff too. I'm like, hey man, you should try to get yourself booked on more of these shows,
Yeah.
yeah, in the the tri-state area or whatever. Um,
I
but
mean,
he just
Chris is right when he says Kevin Tenney's just like a regular guy. He's like and I don't mean this in an offensive way, but he's like your crazy uncle. You
yeah, yeah,
know,
he's super cool. Like he doesn't treat anybody from what I've seen. He doesn't treat anybody any different. Like he's some big, huge celebrity or anything. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. So that's what I really like about him.
and did you see? Speaking of stuff that pops up from him on Facebook, did you see that he like passed out? Basically, he got dehydrated.
Yeah.
And he woke up and like the paramedics were there asking him, "How many fingers am I holding up?" and stuff.
But he has that personality about him to where he has to joke about everything.
Yeah.
I'm the same way to an extent.
I
Like and
wish
I
I could joke about everything, but there's some things I wish I could, but I can't.
Well, I've learned, Dana, that sometimes there are times that I'm not gonna lie, I do get frustrated about things, stressed out about stuff, but like I have to compose myself and remind myself that you know it's really not worth it. Bringing all that kind of negativity into your life. It's really not.
Well, I, for instance, I'm bring this up. I'm not too proud to bring this up. I've been getting our groceries delivered for quite a while, just because going to get groceries at the grocery store is just an annoyance for me. But you got to have groceries,
I agree.
so most of the time when I get them delivered, it's fine. Okay. Well, they got delivered today or this evening rather. And I went out there to pick up the bags and bring them in the house.
hmm
And I noticed something wet on our porch. And I was like, there's something not right here. It ain't been raining or anything like that. Hey, Menelect. Um, so I picked up the bag and
hmm
I'd gotten a couple of energy drinks, Ghost energy
I
drinks,
knew it.
and one for Steve, and they
Yeah.
were spewing stuff out, and they were all bent up on the tops. Like, what in the world?
I knew that's what it was going to be. It's going to be some kind of something I drink or something that because the same thing has happened to me before, and yeah, it's definitely frustrating for sure.
And I was saying, I won't repeat the naughty words I was saying, but I was not happy. And Steve said, "Calm down, Dana." I'm going to sneeze. Sorry, folks. Oh, goodness
Bless you.
gracious. Oh, one of these times, I'm afraid I'm going to have a, a big booger hanging out of my nose after I do that. That'll be the that'll be the nail in the coffin for my channel. People say, "Did you see that big green booger hanging out of Dana's nose?"
What do you think
Oh,
about
that's
that?
cool. That is awesome.
I got that at the last Horror Hound that I went to. I just had to show it to because it was sitting right here, but it's from this
That is
company,
that
Puncture
is
Wound
awesome.
Pins.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so the lady that runs it, she's super cool. She has a bunch. You can go to that website, Puncture Wound Pins, and she's got this one
I'll
on
check that
there.
out.
She's got like she's done exclusive pins for the Joe Bob's Jamboree. I think I got one of those. Yeah, here's one of the ones she did for Joe Bob's Jamboree.
Oh wow. That's cool too.
But yeah, she's got tons of different ones on there. She's even got a Toby one from Popcorn. I gotta get that one.
Oh man.
Um,
I love popcorn.
me
That's
too.
that's a movie I think I need to do a watch along for.
That's my favorite slasher of all time, Dana.
Would you come on here and do a watch along with me
Absolutely,
for that?
yes, ma'am.
Uh, thank you, Menelect, for the $5 super chat. And Menelect says, "Happy Valentine's Day to all." Well, happy Valentine's Day to you too, Menelect. I appreciate again the super chat. But what when I was having my little meltdown over the ghost energy drinks,
Yeah,
Steve said a surprising thing, and Chris will probably think this is surprising too, because I mean, I ain't gonna lie, sometimes Steve blows off steam and everybody around him knows he's blowing off steam. So I think Candace and Chris have seen Steve during one of his moments. I'll just say that.
Steve has got some rage built up in him. He's
But
despite
he
all his
said,
like the Smashing Pumpkins say, despite all his rage, Steve is still just a rat in a cage.
but anyway, Steve said something very shocking and surprising to me, but I was also glad to hear it. And he said, Dana, he said, basically, don't sweat the small stuff. But he said, "You know
Mm,
how I used to get really mad when I was driving and I would carry on and just go crazy about it and stuff?" I said, "Yeah, I remember." And he said, "I'm trying really hard not to do that anymore." And he said, "Because it's just not good." And I
yeah,
said, "I know, Steve, but I mean, when somebody is in the middle of like rage, you can't talk to him. I'm like that. He's like that.
yeah.
A
Well, I
lot of
think everybody is. I mean,
yeah,
I've been in those states myself before to where like, and then much later when I'm calmed down, you're like you feel embarrassed and you feel full of shame like why I act like that. I
yeah,
think everybody's like that once they kind of but everybody's capable of having being so frustrated with stuff. I mean, 'cause believe me, it's happened with me plenty of times. So nobody's perfect in this world.
no. I had a meltdown last weekend. I'm not going to go into details about what I had the meltdown on, but I was literally standing back here in this room, like just, and people would have thought I was crazy. And,
I've
you
been
know,
there, believe me.
and what
Mm.
Steve did is he very gently came, and I tried to push him away because I was in the middle of this major meltdown, and he just come and put his arms around me, and then that's what broke that rage, and then I started crying, um, because it is that shame, like Chris was talking about. It's like, why am I standing here like an insane person, screaming and just doing this and stuff, and Sometimes you need somebody that's outside of that rage to get you calmed down.
Well, it could be that, and it could be, just sometimes all it takes is just maybe something that you really love, whether it be a person, whether that be a movie, a video game, whatever that is to you that kind of puts you in a comfort zone to take you out of that state, that mental state, to bring. And sometimes all it takes for me is like, I've talked about this several times, but I'm a huge wrestling fan. Wrestling is probably like, as much as I love horror and I love movies in general, wrestling is probably like the number one thing as far as my interests go in life. And it's no matter what kind of, if I'm in a bad mood or some things aren't going my way or something, all I have to do is sit and watch like an old wrestling match that was part of my childhood, and it takes me
Yeah.
out of the real world for just a little bit. You know what I mean?
Movies do that for me, and it
Yeah, and
doesn't
it's
have to be a horror movie. It doesn't necessarily have to be a comedy. It's just I will think about a moment in time. And sometimes it was when I was watching movies where I was calm, I was happy, and
mhm.
I can take myself back to that time just by watching that movie again. Just like Chris said, he would watch wrestling. He would watch an
Mhm.
old wrestling match, and it would take him right
Yeah,
back to
and
that
it helps me, and sometimes the music, there's certain
music.
songs and stuff I can listen to that does the same thing. I know that's kinda one of, Candace's things, like, because Candace, she
Yeah.
absolutely loves music. I mean, she knows more about music than anybody I've ever met in my life.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I'm not saying that just because she's my wife. It's just a cold, hard fact, and if you get to know my wife, you will learn that too. Because she is very intelligent when it comes to music. She doesn't give enough credit herself on that, but believe me, she will school some of the best in this world.
Oh yeah, me and Candace have spent a lot of time talking about music. We don't just talk about just one thing. Sometimes we'll talk about movies. Sometimes we'll talk about music. But we have really spent a lot of time focusing on music. Um, and Candace was the one that turned me on to Youngblood. Chris is probably like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, and that's the thing about Candace too, is like she has just a wide variety of taste when it comes to music, and
Mhm.
like,
Oh
and
yeah,
it really impresses me so much that like she'll know like all this stuff about metal, like bands like Judas Priest or
yeah,
Black Sabbath, but then she'll also have this like vast amount of knowledge with like somebody like Liberace. Cause
yeah.
she loves Liberace, and she's got several of his records. And I know when we're at the thrift store or whatever, if she finds one that she doesn't have, she has to get it.
Right.
And she likes all kinds of stuff like that, and it's just really cool that because it's kind of the same thing with like me with wrestling or with horror movies or whatever. I spend a lot of my time, and taking in all that knowledge and research and stuff that helps me know about those things. Uh, she said, when she was growing up, she just uh, put a lot of her time into learning about these bands, especially like people like the Beatles and the Monkees and
Oh my gosh, she knows more about the Beatles and the Monkees than anybody I've ever met in my life. I mean,
yeah.
I'm just astounded by her knowledge.
Well, she at one point was the president of the Monkees fan club years ago. But she's probably told you that whole story.
Yeah.
How like, yeah,
It was
it's
very unfortunate
very unfortunate. It's a good way of putting it.
because I could have really seen Candace just the way she described how things were going. I could have really seen her going far with that.
Um, I remember when we and her were just dating. The Monkees did a tour, but it was Davy Jones. Who? See, it was Davy Jones, and I don't think what's his. Is it Peter? I think is it Peter
Oh,
Tork? I don't.
Peter Tork.
I don't think he was with them. I think that he was either sick or he'd already passed away. I can't remember. Um, but I had bought tickets for it for me and her to go to, and they end up canceling the tour. And
Oh,
shortly after the tour got canceled, Davy Jones passed away.
mhm.
She has when she was a part of that monkeys when she was the president of that fan club. She used to talk with like I think it was Mike Nesmith's
Yeah,
daughter,
I
like
think so.
regularly, and even she had wrote to Davy Jones and he sent her an autographed photo through the mail to her, and yeah, so like she knows about all that stuff. It's really cool.
Hmm. Now, guys and gals, I hate to get off here, but I've been slowly going through this moose head, and Dana's got to take, got to go to the restroom because I don't think y'all want to see me make a puddle under my computer. So, um, but I do want to, thank Chris for joining me tonight. This has been a lot of fun. And, you know, I'll say it once again. I'll keep saying it. Candace and Chris are two of my biggest supporters of my channel. And they, I think those two would go through the depths of hell with me if I wanted them to.
Through
Uh,
hellfire and brimstone.
Yes, they go up to the devil himself with me if I said that that's what I was going to do. And so I cannot thank them enough for supporting me. For
No problem.
Candace, Candace does the Friday Foolish stuff. She does other things with me when she can. Chris is always there. Um, and Chris, by the way, you don't ever have to ask me if you can come on a watch longer
Well, I
stream.
know I
You
don't
just
have
tell you
to,
can
but I
come
just feel
on
like it's the polite thing to do, Dana.
it. I know, but like when Chris asked me, he says, "Is it all right if I, come on there?" I was like, "Of course, I would love to have you on there." But yeah, I know Chris is being polite. I just um there's an open door policy between me and Candace and Chris because I've known them for a long time. I trust them. I know they're not going to get on here and do anything insane. Um, we have fun on here, but
Yeah.
we don't just go completely nuts. Some people may think, well, Dana, you're already nuts. Well, I know that. I know that
Well,
I went nuts a long time ago, but
y yeah, Dana's like, Michael Keaton and Batman, like, "You wanna get nuts? Let's get nuts."
you're right. Exactly. Yeah. But I do always appreciate when these watch alongs are so much more fun if I have somebody on here with me. Um, and also, I want to thank you guys and gals that were in the chat. Yeah, this was a little bit longer stream, Tom. Usually, when I'm on here by myself, I get off kind of quickly. But if I have somebody to talk to, like Chris is on here with me, then we kind of bounce things around and stuff like that. I hope you didn't mind that it was a little
Yeah,
bit longer
that's
stream.
my fault. I talk about too much stuff that I shouldn't.
I talked about stuff too, so no. But I hope everybody had a good time tonight. I certainly did. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking with Chris and talking to all you guys and gals in the chat. And I want to thank people that will watch this on the replay. There might be many of you that were having Valentine's Day festivities, and couldn't be here for it live. Well, that's a great thing about YouTube. Unless YouTube wants to take this down, but I can't see any reason why they would want to take this one down. It's not like we were playing complete audio from it or, showing the movie or anything.
They'll be alright.
You like long streams, Tom? Well, that's good because I've had 3 or 4 hours streams before. Um, when me and TJ used to do, speaking of TJ, we used to do those horror on TV things, like some of those went 4 hours,
Well,
and it
I
was
did
insane.
one on my channel that where I talked about the Kevin Smith movies, and I talked about some other movies too, like Princess Bride and The Wizard and Little Monsters and a few other ones. But it was like 12 movies that I covered, and I I kind of got little crazy with my notes for that stream. So I ended up going like I think it was like 4 hours and
I
15
think that
minutes.
might have been the night where Candace said, "Chris is still on the stream."
Yeah, and after I did that and I was like, never again am I doing
Yeah,
a
I
4
had to
hour
quit.
stream.
Yeah, I had to quit doing those. I talked to TJ and I was like, I can't keep doing this because I
Oh,
was
I was
like,
killed. I was killed out. Soon as like I got done, I ended that stream and I went like passed out on the bed. I was like, I'm done. It was like 2 in the morning when I got done with that. So
yeah, and like, and even Steve was like, "What in the world are y'all doing?" Like, and it became a big joke between me and TJ and the Dead Pit boys. Um, that they would come in there and they would say, "Y'all still doing a stream or something? Y'all do these all nighters or whatever." The CK and Uncle Bill would say a lot of different things, and it was all in jest. I mean, it was funny, but it became too crazy.
but I'm thankful, like, even though, like, it went on, like, after 2 in the morning, I was thankful for guys like Russell was still in there with me, to the
Oh,
very end. A guy named Greg Brewer that's been coming into my,
yes.
streams and stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've seen Greg Brewer in the Dead Pit Discord. I've seen his
yeah,
name pop up a lot.
he's been coming to several of my streams, so I appreciate guys like that, that stuck with me on that night that I was on there till after 2 in the morning, so, yeah, appreciate it.
What are you gonna do, Chris, if a bunch of people start coming to you and saying, "We gonna do another one of those 4 hour, 3 or 4 hour
Uh,
streams, Chris"?
that's a big nope on that, sir.
What if you had 100 people come in there when you did one of those?
I don't know. I mean, if that's what they want, then I guess but I don't know. I don't think honestly, I just don't think because it wore me out so bad, and like
Yeah,
that's why,
it
like
really
for
is
the
time.
past few videos I've been doing, I've been trying to cut it down between like 6 and 10 movies. Because like I said, there was 12 on that one, and I had a lot to talk about because I'm a big Kevin Smith fan, and I had a lot to talk about in that stream. But I'm like, I'm gonna have to do something to dwindle these down because these are I don't like I mean I like if I'm the one that's not talking, if I'm just watching, like I can watch real long streams or any kind of content like that. But when it's me doing and I'm especially doing it by
Yeah.
myself and I'm doing all this talking for over 4 hours, it's a little bit much. You
I
know
would
what I mean?
probably lose my voice. I thought I was going to lose my voice tonight, and I thought, "Oh boy, Chris will have to, take control of the watch along if I lose my voice," because it was so scratchy when I first got on here. And maybe this moose head helped. People are going to get so tired. Stop talking about the moose head, Dana. We get it. We get it. It's Canadian beer. Um, but I really am going to have to go to the restroom. So I'm going to have to get off of here for the night. But everybody that came out for this and hung out with me and Chris, I thank you so much. Um, and stay tuned. I've got a lot more Dick's picks coming up, the films of Dick Randall. I've got some more cannon fodder coming up. I'm slowly going through the Golden Globus era of canon films. I'm going to have a series on sex comedies of the 80s. I haven't really started watching any movies for that yet, but it's coming. Um, and also, I had another idea for a series of streams because what was Steve? Steve was watching something where they were talking about Return of the Living Dead, and they showed that clip from Night of the Living Dead where the sheriff, I think, says, "Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up." And I got this idea, just boing, came into my head. I want to do a series of streams called "Yeah, They're Dead. They're All Messed Up," and talk about some of the great kill scenes in horror movies over the years.
Hmm.
I thought, well, that's something I haven't done before. Other people might have done it, but just like Chris said, other people may have talked about some of these movies he's talking about, but he hasn't talked about them on a
Yeah.
stream. So it's always good to get a different perspective on
Just because
things.
somebody does something first doesn't mean that somebody else can replicate that in their own way.
Mhm.
I mean, look at horror movie remakes. You
Yeah,
know, like as some the majority of them, like we mentioned that earlier, the majority of them are not that great, but there's some that shine through every now and then.
yeah. They put their own spin on it, and yeah, it's golden sometimes. Coco, you say all messed up was my chat name way back in the Dead Pit chat days. Oh wow, Coco, that is awesome. I love
Well,
hearing a little history there. But anyway, I guess me and Chris are gonna call it a night tonight. Stay tuned to the channel for all this new stuff. Check out Chris's Crater Mania channel.
yeah.
He's doing some good stuff. Uh,
Yeah, like I said, this Sunday I got my Valentine's Day violence show. So I'm doing
that's
covering.
gonna be
I'm going to be
awesome.
talking about My Bloody Valentine, the remake, Hospital Massacre, and the slasher movie from I think 2001 when it came out, Valentine.
Mm.
So yeah, going to be covering those, and then on Monday, which is President's Day, I'm not sure what time I'm going to have that on it, but it'll be sometime. So if you subscribe to my channel and everything, you'll get a notification letting you know when I'm going to be going live. But I'm doing a President's Day special for where I'm going to be talking about Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter and the original Point Break. So if you like either of those, come check that out.
I love the original Point Break, by the
Me
way.
too. It's my favorite Swayze movie.
Yeah, it's hard for me to pick between that and Roadhouse, though. Like I love both of those so much.
Roadhouse is cool too. I also love The Outsiders too with it.
The
So yeah.
Outsiders, yeah. Oh my
But I better let you go to the bathroom. That's where you piss yourself everywhere.
goodness. Yeah, I don't want to do that. Well, thank you, Coco, for stopping by, and you have a good weekend as
Yeah.
well.
Happy Valentine's Day.
It was good to see you back in the chat. Some of these people, I miss them so much, and when they pop back up again, I'm like, oh yay, like Coco's in here, or you know, uh, Russell, if he goes away and he comes back and pops up, it's always good to see some new and old. Uh, well, I don't really see your faces, but you know what I mean. But anyway, we're going to get off here, but y'all have a fantastic rest of what's left, less than 30 minutes of Valentine's Day, technically. But heck, I'm still going to watch X Ray or Hospital Massacre when I get off here. Um, and I'm going to sit down and I think I'm going to have me some nice hot soup and just relax and veg out for the rest of the night. And y'all stay tuned. I got a bunch of stuff coming up. Chris has got a bunch of stuff coming up on his channel. Uh, check both of us out. And that's it from us. And me and Chris are off like a couple of dirty shirts. These shirts ain't dirty, but we're off like a couple of them. And before I get off of here for the night, I want to remind everybody, as I always do, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of this night. Less than 30 minutes left in the night, folks. Another Valentine's Day is almost in the books, and we'll see everybody next time.